Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Matt, and welcome back to another Bulldog review. So today I am doing Bulldog review number 18, and it is Tom and Jerry 2021. So, what is this movie? So this is a reboot of the Tom and Jerry cartoons that were lasting from the 1940s to now. And every Tom and Jerry movie is very different. Like, we take, for example, the one from 1993. That movie was really very controversial because, Tom and Jerry basically talk. And that's what kind of made people a little crazy. But then, as we figured out that there have been more adaptations trying to pull forward from direct-to-video. Examples include Tom and Jerry Go to Mars, Tom and Jerry Fast and Furious, Whiskers Away. There's a lot of Tom and Jerry spoofs. And then we get to this one. And this is the second big screen adaptation of Tom and Jerry since 1993. And this is a very big thing because we have been waiting on something like this in the animation community for a long time. And to be quite honest, this is a movie that I think really deserves a lot of love and a lot of attention. This movie is very, very unique. The reason I say that is because Tom and Jerry is, in a way, one of the most unique animated films that I have seen since Who Framed Roger Rabbit from 1988. Now, the reason I say that, well, because the film itself reminds me a lot of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. The 2D animation with the live action. This is what really animated movies are supposed to be. But one of my other favorite adaptations is, of course, Detective Pikachu from 2019. And that film I had reviewed 2 years ago, and I still think it holds up really well to that. So that's another big one that I really enjoyed. You can go check that one out. It's, I think, review number 4. And going back to Tom and Jerry, this is a film that is really special. And to say the least, this is a film that I think a lot of people went into very lopsided. In other words, people went into this movie thinking, are they going to mess this up? Are they going to try to find some way that Hollywood's going to try to screw this up and make the whole generation see Tom and Jerry as this cat and mouse just trying to floss. Very floss. And, Sonic the Hedgehog from last year, they tried to do a really good job of it, and they did, but, it just kind of fell flat in all sectors. But here, Tom and Jerry, this is something that Hollywood has done right. Again, another big one that I think is really cool is Captain Underpants from 2017. This is that same scenario where we go in thinking what they're going to do, and then it comes out really well made. It's the same thing here. Tom and Jerry 2021 is very fast-paced. It really is fast-paced. It's a great show. It's a really cool movie. And I've written down some points here so I can kind of, as I was watching this. So, I watched this on HBO Max. I wanted to go see it in theaters, but my local movie theater that's showing it right here in town, all the shows were sold out today. So this was probably going to be my next best option. So do note that for my next movie review, which will be movie review number 19, Raya and the Last Dragon, you will expect a theatrical review from that one. Okay, so first point I want to bring up, the live action dialogue from the live action actors. Chloe Grace Moretz, she does a pretty good job. And I mean a pretty good job. Very solid. She's very quirky, very, very silly. That's her character. She's really silly. She's good. She's really good. Then we have Michael Pietta. He did okay. So, Michael Pietta, the last film I saw with him was when he did Dora and the Lost City of Gold from 2 years ago, and he did really well. He did pretty good as the main villain, but, he did pretty good. So, a little weak acting was a little weak on him, but other than that, he was really good. Then we have Ken Jeong, who played the chef. very interesting. And I gotta say, with all the live action actors, I think they really all did an equal amount of work put into this. And I can see the effort because they really did an excellent job. Acting wise, it was a little bit average, but on the other hand, the dialogue was very quirky. It was really well put together. Another big thing is the animation. So this is a thing that we went into with when Tom and Jerry 2021 was first announced. I think it was 2 years ago. They were thinking that Tom and Jerry was going to be something like we saw in Sonic the Hedgehog. You know, this anthropomorphic, 3D looking creature, kind of like Sonic, the first model of it. But here they do this with this cool 2D animation style, cell animation, and it looks really good. Very high quality for Tom and Jerry. I really appreciate it. It's a really good thing, and you know this animation is very very fluid. It's pretty unique to see a movie like this. We were supposed to get something like this from Bob's Burgers. That was supposed to come out on April 9th. But that movie has been shelved indefinitely due to the pandemic. Sad to say, but it's true. But I'm hoping that we'll get something more equal to this pretty soon. Authentic Tom and Jerry antics. So, we all know Tom and Jerry as being this lovable cat and mouse duo who basically bashes each other in the head. It's the same thing here. They keep to the roots and they keep to the source material with this. Tom and Jerry really does an excellent job of, you know, keeping to the source material. They don't try to shy away from adding a few pop culture references and jokes. They don't try to make it so, let's say, evenly unbalanced that it leans more toward a pop culture-esque version of Tom and Jerry than what we got with Sonic the Hedgehog, where it's just all over the place with pop culture. Here, they try to space it out in between, which that's really good. And the Tom and Jerry antics still remain. It shows that it does a really cool thing with it. The story, I gotta say, with the story, it was somewhat generic. I was kind of thinking with Tom and Jerry, there's going to be something a little bit more, let's say, exquisite, especially with Tom and Jerry. But the story is very watchable, I think, and it's a very somewhat generic story. I'm not going to go into spoilers, but it's a really, really, really cool story. And kind of like with Tom and Jerry the movie back in 1993, this is a story that I think really shows a lot that they had tried. I mean, they tried. It's a really generic story, but yet it is the way they execute is pretty top notch. I'll have to give them brownie points on that one. With pop culture references, they don't shy away from trying that out in this movie. We get a lot about the millennials, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I mean, it's all over the place. They try to incorporate social media into it, and that's fine. I don't care about the little stuff. If they try to go overboard with it, and that's when I kind of get a little worried. Just like with Sonic the Hedgehog, I was a little worried that they were going to do too much with the pop culture stuff, references instead of the action, like I wanted with the original Sonic movie, but that's just, you know, my personal opinion. Here, they try not to do it too much. They try to keep to the story, which is really good. That's the thing that I like most, is that they try to keep the story. That is something that really I appreciate the Tom and Jerry team for doing that. They do a really cool job with this, and they don't try to shy away from being a little funny at times, especially if the humor is very dry, but it still is very good nevertheless. And then finally, no product placement. Now, this is a thing, because Hollywood has now come to the point where it is now trying to, you know, promote their product. Like with Sonic the Hedgehog, I know I'm saying this too much. Sonic the Hedgehog here is just going off saying, Amazon's doing drones. Olive Garden is now doing, I don't know, to-go breadsticks. Here with Tom and Jerry, they don't try to do that. And that's a really cool thing. That's the one thing I was worried about, especially with a pop culture movie like this, when there's a lot of nostalgia surrounding it. I was kind of worried they're going to try to sneak in a product placement, but here they don't. They don't try to shy away from that. And the thing about it is, folks, the product placement is nowhere. It's nowhere. That's great news. And, I mean, yeah, so overall, this film is unique. I wouldn't say it's the best, but it still is a pretty decent adaptation for Tom and Jerry. Especially, being transferred into this age where parents of these younger children are wanting to see Tom and Jerry in this rock and roll-esque atmosphere, And there, of course, the soundtrack. I mean, I forgot to mention the soundtrack. Yeah, the soundtrack, very unique. It's got a very unique soundtrack to it. It's a lot of hip-hop for some weird reason. I'm not sure how or why, but why they decided to go with that, I'm not entirely sure. But in a sense, it was very good. It was very cool to see that. But they didn't shy away from trying some different things. So I'll give Tom and Jerry on the soundtrack with that. They did really good with that. Overall, though, this is a film that's not the best, but it is still a very lighthearted little movie to watch. It's really good, and it's really funny to watch. It's very cutesy. They don't try to shy away from trying new things in this movie and trying new experiments with this. The experimental animation in this, to try to bring back this sort of 2D cell animation, that is something that I really appreciate them doing. And yeah, so this is a film that I think really, really hit some marks, and it really made some good strides. I really enjoyed this movie so much. I think it really shed some good light, especially since we had a whole mess of slop last year. And we would have seen this movie last year, but no, they didn't want it, so they pushed it to this year. And I really think this movie is pretty decent. It's a good watch. If I had to give it on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give this movie about an 8. There are some parts in this movie that really, I think I'm really concerned about. Most trying to be all hip and cool. With Tom and Jerry, you have to be simple. You don't have to be all over the top. But this is a film that I think really hits some strides. But then that generic story, it really kind of, and that dry humor kind of takes it down a little bit. So I'm gonna give the movie an 8.5 out of 10. Still though, if I were to see this movie again, I would go see it in a theater, preferably maybe with 1 or 2 people, just to see their reaction. But yet again, this is a film that I think really does well with that. So yeah, that's going to do it for my movie review for Tom and Jerry. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video as much as I have. If you liked it, definitely leave a like and also put a comment in the comment section down below. I would love to hear what you think. So the next movie I have up is Raya and the Last Dragon. I'm expecting that one to go out probably Saturday morning on March 6th. If not, it will probably be the latest I can get is Sunday, March 7th. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and be sure to go check out my other videos. If you guys want me to do anything else, leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.